Occasionally, I like to run 5Ks, just to make sure I'm still in moderate shape. And on this one 5K, I was doing pretty good. I felt like garbage, but I was proud of myself because I almost made it to the end. And then I saw this girl, and she was hurt on the ground. And I realized I had two choices. I could live what I had always learned and walk the Christianly walk, or I could leave her in the dust and get a better time. And in the end, I decided I should do what I knew was right. And so I helped her get to the finish line. Because that's what we do as Christians. We help each other finish our races. Now this sermon is going to be on James 15 and 16. And it would be good for an NCCFI Nationalist chapel because its audience are Christian forensicators. So, what exactly is James 15 through 16? Well, it says, "If a brother or sister is naked and daily destitute of food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' but does not give them the things which they need for the body, what does it profit?" What does it profit? We as forensicators speak eloquently and plead for the causes that we know are important. But what are we doing? Do our actions reflect the passions that we have for these issues? Do we actually go into the world and do what we say needs to be done? I know I'm guilty of not. But how exactly do we do that? Well, there are three parts. 1, we advocate. 2, we act. And 3, we sacrifice. So to begin, we advocate. We have to be the voice for the voiceless. How are people going to know if they never even hear about the issue? If I never heard about the 5K or seen the girl, I wouldn't have known that I needed to help her. Proverbs 31, 8 through 9 says, "Open your mouths for the speechless, in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouths, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy." We do need to advocate. We're very good at speaking. That's why we're here. But we need to spread the word. We need to let other people know about the problems and issues. And we need to let everyone know, not just the people we're competing against. We need to continue, because that's what we do. If we truly believe what we say is important, then we would be telling everyone. We can't just let something die in a competition room, with a camera or in the four walls. If we believe it's something that needs to be fought for, if we need to plead for the needy and poor, then we need to plead to everyone, because it's what we're called to do. Secondly, we act. If I had just left the girl on the ground and said, "Oh, it'll be okay," what does that do? If I said, "Be warmed and be filled," what does that profit? Because we need to act. We are given choices in our life. And how often do we just pass them by or offer a, "Oh, it'll be okay"? Now, to really expand on this, I want to look at the story of Lazarus and the rich man. There was a certain man who was clothed in fine linen and purple, and fared sumptuously every day. But there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, full of sores, who laid at his gate, desiring to be fed with the crumbs from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. So it was that the beggar died and was carried to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And being in torments, he looked afar and saw Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Luke 16, 19, and 23. The poor man laid at the rich man's gate every day. But what did the rich man do? He had everything he needed and more. But he didn't clothe Lazarus. He didn't feed Lazarus. And what's most importantly, he didn't care about him at all. He let the dogs lick his sores. That's literally adding insult to injury. But what's more important about the verses themselves is they don't say what he said. Because what he said wasn't important. What came out of the rich man's mouth to Lazarus wasn't important because nobody helped Lazarus. Certainly not the man at his gates. And how often do we walk by the people suffering that we know, the people in our lives, and we don't do anything about it? How often do we not act? Because actions do speak louder than words. Our hearts reveal our actions, just like the rich man's did. It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter if we say, be warmed and filled. It doesn't matter if we say thoughts and prayers. What matters is what we do. And that's why Christians have come under fire now. Because we say a lot, but what are we doing? So it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and get to work. Third, we sacrifice. Now, there's a part of the story I haven't told you yet. When we got to the finish line, the girl wanted to try running by herself. And I thought that was great. But right as we were crossing the line, she ran as fast as she could, and she passed me. And I was a little offended. I'd stopped, I'd helped her, I'd let people pass me trying to get her to the finish line. And she passed me, right at the end. But I shouldn't have been offended, because that's what we're called to do as Christians. We sacrifice. It's not about our place. It wasn't about my place. It was about helping others. And my sacrifice was not a large one. Maybe it made her day, but it wasn't going to change her life. But the sacrifice that will change your life is the one of Jesus. Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus came to this earth. He gave up everything for us. And he died for us. And then he finally came back. But he was willing to sacrifice. Jesus is the culmination of the three things that I've talked about today. He talked the talk. He gave parables. He spoke wisdom. He walked the walk. He performed miracles and helped people who were suffering. And he sacrificed. He gave up everything. And we as Christians are called to be like Christ. Christian means little Christ. We have to be like him. And sometimes living the Christian life means a sacrifice. Sometimes it's more than just throwing away our old clothes or getting a $1 can of beans and throwing it to somebody. Sometimes it really hurts. But if we think about it, it's important. If we tell somebody that better days are coming, but we do nothing to better their days, then what does it profit? It means nothing. We have to do more than just encourage people. You have to be there for them. As forensics, we're very good at advocating. But how are we at acting and even sacrificing? We need to be there for people because we are Christians. Because we are more than just saying thoughts and prayers, saying be warmed and be filled. And while prayers are wonderful, how many times do we really pray? How many times do we really think about it? We need to have actions, because actions speak louder than words, and we need to live our faith. James talks all about the importance of faith in actions, because we need to do more than speak. We need to love, and our hearts are revealed in our actions. Thank you.